Ladies and mostly gentlemen, welcome to Gamer Guns. I am your average size host, and today we are going to be talking about the SIG MCX platform.
Beautiful, beautiful view. I mean, my goodness.
But before we start, I should probably introduce myself.
Who the fuck is that guy?
I have been making some short form content here on the Tuba View for maybe a couple years now. This is my first long form video. My name's Tanner. I am a 23-year-old husband, father, and coal miner from the great state of West Virginia. And I have an absurd love for firearms and first-person shooter video games. But I thought it would be cool to create a channel revolving around those two topics in its entirety. Over the years, most of my firearm purchases have stemmed in inspiration from popular video games I was playing at the time. Like the MCX, for an example. You would know it as the M13 if you have played any of the Modern Warfare video games from 2019 to now. Like I said, guns and games. So if you like those two things, you should probably click that subscribe button. Leave me a like and a comment. Help a brother out. So the SIG MCX, what is it? How does it work? Well, the MCX, a lot of people tend to think this is just a fancy AR-15. And that is not the case. While the manual of arms is very similar, the operating system itself is very different. The MCX, more similar to the AR-18, has a short stroke gas piston system, which in a nutshell, right here's a piston, right above the barrel. There's a port internal to the barrel that once your projectile reaches a certain point, it allows the gases and pressures to go into your gas block and force your piston rearward, which will then unlock your star pattern bolt, unlock the system, and allow it to cycle, chambering your next round and recocking the fire control group. So pretty much everything right here is different. This is a fully captured system internal to the receiver. There is no receiver extension or buffer tube, so it does allow your stock to fold if that fancies you. Not really a huge deal, but it is nifty, I guess, at times. For those of you who do not give a shit how it works, you just want to know, does it work? The answer is yes, it tends to work very well. The short stroke piston system is not anything new. It came about years earlier with the AR-18. It's a very reliable system. It does shine brighter in certain instances, and one of those being this is a much better suppressor host than your standard AR or M4 platform rifle, because the standard AR M4 platform is direct impingement. All the gases are actually traveling back to the receiver to unlock the system. It essentially shits where it eats, is something a lot of people tend to say. So when you suppress the traditional system, you tend to overgas your action, causing the system to get a lot dirtier, much quicker, and in some cases not run as reliably. The Spear LT, as mentioned earlier, I have had for about a year, around 5 to 6K down the bore, most of which has been suppressed, and it has done flawless. I have cleaned this pistol a handful of times. Zero malfunctions. The incredibly reliable platform. Let the haters hate. When it comes down to it, they're just broke bitches who can't afford a Spear LT.
Oh, see, I'm thinking you was poor.
Next on the list is actually price, so we will go ahead and dive into that a little deeper. The Spear LT here, base without any of the accessories, is going to run you around 2,500 bones, which is a large chunk of change, guys. By the time you factor in a good optic, in this case I have a EOTech EXPS3-1, a good light, a Surefire Scout, your brace of choice, this is the SIG folder, which fucking sucks. We might get into that later. And a suppressor, because if you're going to buy an MCX, you might as well plan on purchasing a suppressor, because I believe that's where this platform shines the most. I believe on a Spear LT, after all the above, I'm in around a little over 5,000 bones, which is a lot of money.
You know, I got a big old knot, don't know what to do with it. This is definitely something I can do with it.
There is definitely smarter things you could do with that $5,000, but life is too short to live like a broke bitch. The Virtus here, if you can find one, these are kind of getting harder to find. I've seen them go for around $2K bare. This one is sporting the Midwest Industries rail. The guy that I got this off of knew what he was doing. He has the Arasaka rail retainer in here. He witness marked all his screws. Pretty cool dude. Knew how to use his shit. But anyhow, the Virtus, again, around 2K bare. A lot of money. So that's a call you have to make. If you're into firearms that much, then yes, it's probably worth the price to you. If you're not, if you're just looking for a good rifle, then no, maybe not. Maybe an M4, more traditional system, would be a smarter investment. I know somebody is going to ask more about the can. Again, SIG SLX-C. I went with the C because I knew I was going to be running it on longer rifles as well as short rifles. You definitely get a little bit better sound reduction and flash reduction out of the full-length SLX or full-length cans in general. But again, went with the C. This is my first can and only can, and probably will remain that way until we abolish the NFA, because the NFA is tyranny. That about sums that up. What do we have next? Manual of arms. Manual of arms is very similar to your traditional AR-15 platform. So, empty mag here, clear, insert mag. Mag release is pretty much in the same spot. It is ambidextrous. You have a paddle on the other side too for wrong-handed people. Bolt release on the Virtus, very similar to your standard AR. It is oversized to make it a little easier to lock the action back to clear malfunctions or whatnot. And the Spear LT, pretty much the same. They added a few things to this rifle. Well, one thing, you have an ambi bolt release, bolt lock, which is neat. Kind of hard to do on camera. You can push up on this little lever here. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll just roll some footage in. Push up on that. Pull the charging handle back to lock your bolt in the rear position to clear malfunctions, what have you. How does it shoot? Well, a short stroke system is inherently a little thumpier than a direct impingement system. When you do add a flow through or some sort of suppressor, it does soften it quite significantly. But overall, not bad. It's still 5.56, guys. It's not a Canon or nothing crazy. The factory triggers on the MCXs are pretty great. They're no Geisley, but we are clear. Go ahead and ghost this trigger. About a 4-pound break. Nice, quick, audible reset. The trigger is pretty fantastic. Now on the Virtus, the trigger does feel similar. The trigger shoe itself is curved on the Virtus. I will say the Gen 2s do not take standard mil-spec pattern AR triggers, and they did fix that on the Gen 3 because it was such a high demand from their customers. So if you're wanting to upgrade the trigger on the Virtus, you're not going to have as much luck with aftermarket support. But on the Spear LT, you know, your Geisley, SSAEs, whatever, you can slap one in there, no problem. We'll go ahead and go to the Virtus trigger. 2-stage, just like the MCX Spear. Nice audible break. Nice fast audible reset. Very tactile. And the triggers for a factory trigger is very, very decent, as it should be for such a fucking expensive investment. Both very accurate rifles. The Spear LT with an EOTech, which is a very big variable in your accuracy. At 50 yards, I'm keeping everything within a 2-inch circle. Very decent, more than ideal for this build. I haven't put the Virtus on paper yet. Like I said, I just picked this up yesterday, but I suspect it will not be no different than the Spear LT. as far as accuracy goes. The contour on the barrel, I do believe, might be a little heavier than the spear. Not totally sure there. But overall, guys, pretty good shooting firearms. And lastly, should you buy one? Again, this goes back to what I had mentioned earlier. I bought these rifles because I think they're cool, because I had the money at the time. They are a steep investment. They're not my go-to rifles, despite what you might think. My go-to is actually just the Daniel Defense DDM4 V7. These guns are just fun for me. They're fun to look at, fun to shoot. They're a cool little flex piece, and they're very expensive. They are very reliable. Could you fight with one? Absolutely. I'm not going to torture test these guys because I paid for them with my own hard-earned dollars. But there are plenty of videos on the internet. Grand Thumb has done some long-term, we'll say, torture testing on the MCX platform over the years. He has videos on both the Virtus and the Spear, as well as hundreds of other YouTubers. Very good system.